Welcome to What's the Effort?
What the F?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am very excited today. I have John Motsenbocker, also known as a Sniper for Hire or Mots. So, John, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and being my guest.
Absolutely.
I am very, very happy, and happy Martin Luther King Day to all of us and such. And I think we're having a change on presidents today too. So what an event. But the most exciting is that I've got John here. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to start off by asking you a little bit about your background before real estate. Who was John before real estate, before you came to real estate? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, I've only had 2 hourly wage jobs my entire life. Everything else has been commission. So I've always been in sales. I learned at a young age that you could be the best doctor in the world, but if you can't sell the fact that you're the best doctor in the world, you're completely screwed. So it's always been sales. That's the only thing that I was ever really good at. And that's basically what I've spent my entire life doing. I used to sell, in my younger years, I used to sell cell phones. I'm not talking about the cell phones like you guys got now. I'm talking about those big bag phones where you had to carry around and it was like 15 pounds and 45 cents a minute. And I'd be driving around in my car acting like I'm talking to somebody with the corded phone and whatnot. Like I used to sling those on the golf course. So that was my true first hustle. And then,
that was a cool thing to be able to sell. That was a cool thing to be able to sell. My husband had one. Yes, they were.
Oh, okay.
My husband got one. He had to have one as soon as it came out. And it was so interesting how he'd call me throughout the day. And I'd be, "Hi, hon, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, I just want to hear your voice. And I've got this, I got that, I got meetings." I'm like, "You're talking like there's somebody listening." He goes, "All sorts of people are listening."
Yep.
But I was like, "Watch that shoulder," because they were so big.
Those things were huge. They're absolutely huge.
Cheap.
I've actually got one. No, they weren't cheap. I've got one in the garage. I use it for marketing purposes sometimes. Like I'll walk in and say, "Hey, whatever sell you. This is don't you want a system like this?" And show them an iPhone and kind of use that as a prop to get their attention. But I sold those. I've sold pretty much everything. And now I sell real estate.
Well, okay, so you sold one of the first cell phones that ever came out. But tell me what else? What was the major things that you sold besides that, and how long did you do that for?
Oh wow! Well, I basically just I learned that I could pretty much work for myself, and I'm pretty much unemployable. I don't like anybody telling me what I can and can't do. And I learned throughout some of my sales jobs that these bosses that were sitting up in the power chair, I came to realize that make a nickel until I go out and sell something. And if you sell stuff, it's pretty much impossible to get fired. There's so many people at at whatever the job is that are going to get fired before you do. They will not fire. I could absolutely do whatever I want and they couldn't fire me. Like a couple of times, bosses threaten me, managers, not, "Oh, we're going to fire you." Okay, well, why don't you go take a look at the sales board and see who the number one salesman is here? Then I want you to go get my check. I want you to go tell the owner of this business that is number one source of income that you fired him. And I'm going to go out to the golf course right now and hit some golf balls. And when I come back, you better have my check ready. Guess how many times they had my check ready? That many. 0, nada, none. So I'm a horrible employee, but I'm the best salesman in your organization. And if I'm not, I mean, that's what bothers me every single day. That's what gets me out of bed. Like, I want to make sure that you know that you can't compete.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and it is what it takes in many kind of positions where people are presenting themselves and talking with other people. It isn't easy, that's for sure. And many people never get off the starting line. So yeah, I completely get that. And something that in real estate, you might be able to have some positions, but not the big bucks. The big bucks are going to be the people who can communicate and are willing to put themselves on that line. Totally agree. Totally agree. So talk
Yeah,
to us
absolutely.
about, um, you know, I get the fact that this background makes you unique because you're not exactly in the box. You're outside the box.
That's for sure.
When did you first begin in real estate? Where did you start?
Well, I was selling cars, and the last recession hit like 2008, and I was a um, marketing agency. So I was like buying commercials, the radio ads, the paper ads, all that kind of stuff, putting all that marketing together. I learned how these advertising agencies would get a 15% back for buying the advertising. And I thought, well, what am I doing here at the car lot? Like, I'm running all the ads and everything. Our dealership was spending like $50,000 a month on TV ads and whatnot. And I thought, well, man, I'm going to go quit right now. And I told the boss, hey, the bad news is I quit. The good news is I'm still going to be your marketing agency. I'm going to do all the buys, et cetera, and so forth. And I thought that was going to free up my time, and I was going to be able to go play golf because, I mean, that's all I ever want to do is just go play golf. And then I started picking up other clients. And then when the market fell out, the first thing everybody cuts is advertising. So then I was scrambling. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And I got into home loans. So I was slinging loans to people, and we
You mean like
would,
with the mortgage company?
yeah, with the mortgage company. So I worked at something called Conseco, and then the boss had just got fired or he quit. I don't remember what the exact deal was. I was brand new. I was only there like a week, and he went to Wells Fargo, and then he started cherry picking out of the office to go fill his staff over there. So they're like, hey, we'll pay you a $10,000 signing bonus. I'm like, all right, Conseco, thanks for having me. So then I was over at Wells Fargo doing subprime mortgages. And it was a different time back then. You could call me up and say, hey, I need to get a $300,000 cash out refi for my house. And I could just call my buddy up. I won't use his name, an appraiser, and say, hey, is looking to get a $300,000, refi on this. Can you get the number on his house? Can you go throw an appraisal on there where I can make that happen? He'd just go throw an imaginary number. Hey, this house is worth 500,000. The bank would send them $300,000, and then everybody started defaulting on their loans. They would walk away from their loans because they owed more money than the house was worth. And I mean, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, and it wasn't illegal at that time. Now, if I'm going to go get an appraiser or whatnot, the bank calls a third-party company. The third-party company sends the appraiser out there to keep, guys like me from, loading up the info to the appraiser. And I got tricks around that too. But yeah, that's essentially what I did. That was my quote first taste of real estate. And then in 2014, I mean, they lied to me. They said, hey, become a realtor. You have control of your own schedule and you've got all this free time and everything. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Like, I'm going to go play golf, And that's the furthest thing from the truth. They basically lied to me. And my only goal when I got into real estate was to work for somebody for 2 years, because that's what you had to do to go get your broker's license, and you can go out on your own. And that's exactly what I did. So 2016, I took the broker's test, passed that. And I kind of screwed up right there. I didn't have anything beyond that deal. So then I had to figure out, well, what's going to separate me from everybody else? So I started a nonprofit buy, sell, rescue. And every time somebody bought or sold a property with me, I would donate to my rescue, which rescued homeless animals. And then that was such a huge pile of work that I met a gal named Mel, and she had a thing called Mel's Mutts. Well, I had everything all set up, and she had the hustle muscle. So I was like, yo, just take the reins from me and let's go do this thing. And by let's, I mean, you go do everything, and then I'll just go back to selling real estate. So she took the reins on that. And, she's been doing phenomenal as far as that goes. So I've done a little bit of everything. I really enjoy.
I'm going to interrupt you and say that that's very unique. I like the name buy, sell, rescue, but the concept of, wrapping up and connecting animal rescue to selling would make you stand out.
Yeah. And I mean, if I was at, somebody invited party, like, I'm not a big fan of people. Like, that's just the reality. If you've got a dog, I want to dog and your cat and all that kind of stuff. I want to make friends with them. Like, that's where I'm going to hang out during the party. But the other thing is, I'm an only child, always done everything by myself. Like, I don't like help. I like to do everything by myself. And I was basically wearing all the hats. I was the secretary, I was the call center, I was the realtor, I was everything. And it was just too crazy. And then
did you have realtors under you? Wait, I want to
no,
know.
Because I was just, when I got my brokerage, I just I wanted to make 100% of the money. And I didn't want anybody telling me what I can and can't do. One of the organizations that I worked with, they basically let me act like my own broker. I got to brand my own, marketing and whatnot with 559 houses. And it was just, it was one of the worst days when I had to go tell this boss that gave me the keys to the shop, basically like, hey, appreciate what you did. Just passed the broker's test. I'm out of here. And, shout out to John Searles. Like, he did a lot for me. But that was tough. And then I went out on my own and realized, man, I don't want to be the complaint center, the everything, the putting the fire out, all that kind of stuff. So I went and hung my license at a brokerage where if I want to, I can just shut the phone off and, oh, you got a problem? Hey, that sucks. Call this guy, whatever it is. So
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been entrepreneurial. I've had, several of my own businesses, some successful, some not successful. It's just, I enjoy putting stuff together. I like setting everything up.
Yeah, gotcha. And if I understand correctly, after getting your license and becoming a broker, you decided that was too much hassle for being the person that everybody complains to, and you went and you worked under another brokerage.
Yeah, I hung my license at another brokerage, and then that kind of just freed me up to do whatever I needed to do. I only want to work on the things that I like. I don't like showing houses. I don't, I'm not your taxi. I'm not like some, real estate Uber, that's driving you around. I don't enjoy that at all. I enjoy the marketing. I enjoy, what I learned is I don't even buy or sell houses. I solve problems. And as soon as I realized that is the thing, like, what problem do you have? That's what really opened it up. So am I the prettiest realtor? No. Am I the most well-dressed and well-mannered? Absolutely not. But if if you're looking for the nicest realtor, I'm not that guy either. But if you're looking for somebody that's going to go to war for you, I'm that guy. I mean, do you want to be or do you want to compete against me? That's totally up to you. And my company has something that no other company in the world has, and that's me. And that's kind of what I hang my hat on. I enjoy talking to people, and there's people that I meet that I don't enjoy talking to, and I have the ability to push them off and do whatever it is that I want to do. So I just try to help folks out.
Right. I personally think that even if the person you're talking to is not someone that you would have as your best friend or that you really particularly like, if they're a problem solver and if they can help you out of your problem, hey man, let's work together. Let's get this done.
Absolutely.
So I do agree with you. I think that part is critical. And if you're keeping that in mind, then obviously you're going to be able to add value to the person that you're bringing who's in trouble. They're not exactly, we're not going after the houses that are, beautiful and that could sell in 3 days for over market, because they will. We're talking about people that have themselves in a situation that don't know what to do, or who have been, pardon the expression, but screwed over by typical realtors that have said to themselves, I got this listing. I can now chill. I don't have to do anything. It'll sell. Eventually he'll get desperate and take an offer.
Yep. And that's one thing that I've learned too, is people, they don't select necessarily the best realtor. They select the realtor that told them they can get the most amount of money for their house. So, I can't even, I would love to call some of these people. Hey, I see your house has been on the market for 200 plus days and you keep dropping the price. And now you just sold it exactly at the number that I told you that it would sell at. But a lot of people, they want to prove me wrong. Now, have I been wrong before? Yes. Are there people out there that'll pay way too much money for a house? Absolutely. And some of those people, majority of those people, bought that house in 2022 and they can't do anything with it because that was the peak of the market, at least in my neck of the woods. I see it every day.
Where is your market?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about as a licensed realtor, I'm in Fresno, California, Central Valley. But I help homeowners all across the United States, the wholesale space, creative financing, on market, off market, commercial, residential. Basically,
when did you get into that part?
That was 2020. So when out here in California, I call him Governor Hair Gel. When Governor Hair Gel shut down the state, I really didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I freaked out. I couldn't have open houses. I had 7 listings on the market. Nobody wanted COVID in their house. So they all canceled the listings. And then the buyers that I was driving around at that point, they didn't know if they were even going to have a job. So they all stopped looking. And then I couldn't have open houses. I couldn't show houses. I couldn't drive my car outside. Days to, you guys are going to do this, that, and the other thing turned into months and months and months. I didn't know how I was going to feed my family because I don't have an hourly wage job, kill. So I did what any rational
hourly wage jobs, people were losing them.
Oh yeah, no,
everybody's in that same boat.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Even the salary.
So when I just freaked out, I did what any rational human being would do. I went on YouTube and tried to figure it out. So I found some guy named Max Maxwell. I don't know who this guy is, but he was talking about wholesale and real estate and no money out of your pocket or any of that kind of stuff. And essentially, I just started driving around in my car, hanging my cell phone out the window, taking photos of houses that had like tax liens. They just filed for a divorce. Like I knew how to look that kind of stuff up. And I would take a photo of your house. Then I would drive back to my house and I would print out some crappy marketing piece with a big photo of your house that I took. Sometimes my thumb's in it, sometimes the mirror, if my car is in the photo, just absolutely horrible. And about 4 months, but one day I was out walking my dog, and some guy called me and said, "Hey, my grandfather passed away, and he had your letter with a magnet on his refrigerator saying you want to buy his house. You still want to do that?" And I was like deer in the headlights. Like, I didn't have a contract. I really literally didn't know what the hell to do. So I was like, yeah, can I call you back? And I hung up on that guy, and I was like, oh my God. Like, so I took the dog back to the house, and I was just like, well, I mean, what do I got to lose? I got to call this guy. So that's what I did. I just called it. Yeah. What's going on? What's the address? Blah, blah, blah. Totally interested. When can I come see it? Oh, tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely. I was like, oh no. So then I just started reaching out to random wholesalers on Facebook that I knew. And the first guy, I said, hey, you got 5 minutes for a phone call? And he's like, for what? I was like, okay, we're not a good fit. And then I remembered some other guy who was a realtor. His name was Matt Garabedian. Matt buys houses. And I reached out to that guy. I don't know this guy. He doesn't know me. And I'm like, yo, I got this property. I don't have a contract. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And he goes, oh, here's a contract. Just fill this thing out, and I'll take care of the rest. So, and I went on the appointment, and I took photos. I had Matterport, which is a 3D camera that does like 3D scans, and you can walk through the house and everything. I had one of those cameras in my pocket, and I basically did that whole tour and everything with the house. And I sent it all to the wholesaler. He's like, wow, you did all this? I'm like, yeah. And basically, long story short, he found a buyer. We made $40,000 on the very first sale. He took 20 and I took 20. And I didn't have to do any paperwork. I didn't have to have any disclosures. I didn't have to wait for anything. I was like, this is awesome. 3 weeks later, a friend of mine reaches out to me and says, hey, my stepdad's grandpa or father died. Somebody's trying to offer him $215,000 for his house. You think you could help him? I don't know. Let me go look at it. I go look at this house again. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I still don't have my own contract. I'm leaning on Matt Garabedian. I'm such an idiot. I say, hey, if I could give you $250,000, like, I didn't even have to go up that high. But I was like, if I gave you $250,000, would you sell your house to me? And he goes, yeah. So same thing. Yeah. I reach out to Matt Garabedian. He fills out all the paperwork. He goes, get that guy to sign this. I get that. I send it over to Matt, and he's got all the buyers. He's been doing this for a minute, right? So he finds a buyer to pay $350,000 for this house. Wow. And the title company called us up and said, hey, you guys are making way too much of an assignment on this. We're not going to close on this deal. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're a neutral third party. What are you talking about? Yeah. So then we had to call Matt's buyer and explain to him, hey, we can't sell you this house. The title company said that our assignment fee is way too high. He goes, well, how much is your assignment fee? I mean, Effie, what do I got to lose at this point? I just say $100,000, and I just shut my pie hole. And he says, if I could wire you guys $100,000 outside of escrow, can we wrap this deal up tomorrow? What do you think the answer to that was? Oh
my God.
Yeah, I swear to God.
Here's my wire number.
He wired $100,000 to Matt's account outside of escrow. I got 50. Matt got 50. And then I was like, wow. All right, what am I doing? I mean, at 6%, if I made both sides of the transaction as a realtor, I'm not going to make anywhere near $100,000 on a $250,000 sale. And that's kind of when I tapped out and went full bore. So then I started going down the rabbit hole. TTP, Brett Daniels. Hey, we're going to teach you how to wholesale for $8,500. No, I'm not going to do that.
Did you say you didn't do it, or you did?
I did not. I was like, no, I already know how to wholesale. Like, next. So then Jamil, hey, we're going to teach you how to wholesale. No, I already know how to do that. Now, some way I saw some dude talking about, oh, you can buy people's houses with their mortgage in place, and we do seller fine. I'm like, what? That's a bunch of BS. Here's my credit card, supersize my order, and I just bought the whole package, the Pace Morby, the sub 2 deal. And I swear, as soon as I got my first deal, I wish somebody would tell me that sub 2 was illegal. And that's when it was on and cracking. And then I was just networking with folks at events and whatnot, locally and whatnot. Met a TTP guy. He had a piece of dirt for sale. And I had a buyer. I'm like, hey, how much for that thing? He's like 42,000. Well, I thought that was his asking price. I didn't realize he had that thing under contract for that. So then I go, hey, I sold it. Oh. And he goes, well, how much did you sell it for? I go, $42,000. He goes, no, that's what I had it under contract for. I go, oh man, get that guy on the phone. So I did a 3-way call. It was the first 3-way call that I ever did. And I basically told that guy, hey, look, with closing costs and stuff that's selling in the area, man, I'm telling you, I can't be a nickel over 35,000. And he goes, if you give me 37,000, we got a deal right now. So it wasn't a huge spread. You made $5,000 on the deal, but like it kind of opened my eyes that I don't care what it is. I don't care how dug in you are. Like I can hit you with a bunch of reason and get you to do what I need you to do. And that's kind of like how I got the whole sniper for hire thing going. So folks reach out to me all the time.
I was wanting to ask you that. How did you get the sniper for hire? Why that?
It's just marketing. It's just marketing. I like the word sniper. I'm a one-man army, only child, right? So snipers are usually one-man units, right? So I don't know. I just took it. The domain was available. Okay, so that's another
fighting for that one.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically how I got that.
So when did you join Sub 2?
May of 22.
May of 22?
Yeah, May of 22.
Do you remember when in May?
I don't.
I joined May 1st of 22.
Oh, you were in before me.
May 1st. And I joined Gator in April 13th of 22. So
gotcha.
We started the same time, but I'm sure you've done a whole lot more than me because, I was still in COVID land in Canada. And I don't have, I wish I had more of the kind of spirit you have. I think it's contagious and it's, take no prisoners and go for it. I consider, I finally got my start, but not to that degree. And I envy you for being able to. With Sub 2, there is so much that Pace offers us. It's not just subject to. Yeah. It is, you name it, it's in there. So I imagine that with Sub 2, you haven't regretted the investment.
Oh, no. By far the best purchase I've ever made, investment in myself of all time. Like when I got in there, I didn't watch any of the videos. Like I already know how to do all of this stuff. The only thing that I really focused on was Pace's phone calls to kind of see how the objections, how he handled them and whatnot. And then basically I just studied it like, a movie script or something, right? So basically I just regurgitated what Pace said. And obviously over the years, I've got my own little, twists and tweaks on that deal. And then, I've done a lot of live phone calls and whatnot on Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And then I noticed that there are guys that actually steal my lines, and I don't get any credit for it. But it just,
it's a good compliment.
Yeah, I hear them say, "Hey, I don't sugarcoat stuff. I'm not a bakery." You know, just little things that I tell folks on the phone. I hear them steal my hey, because when I'm calling Texas, and you tell them that you're calling from California, automatically they don't like you. They do not like you.com. So I'll say, "Hey, full disclosure, I'm calling you from the communist country of California. Governor Hair Gel and I," and then they laugh. That kind of like gets me on their side of the table and whatnot. So there's little tiny things that I've learned. And it's not like everybody thinks that you need a script and you need all this magic. Like it's just like when I first started playing golf, I had a bucket of balls and some sucked. I just went out there and just kept hitting balls until I was a little bit better. And now if you step on the tee with me, I'll take your lunch money. Like it doesn't happen over the night. It's the same thing with cold calling, et cetera, and so forth. Now I see everybody is like, "Oh, this new law is coming out on the 27th, and it's against the law to call anybody." Oh, okay. I'm calling anyway. I'm calling to provide you with help. Okay. And if you don't like my help, well, then you don't have to take it. But I mean, I'm not going to let any of this nonsense keep me from making money, just like I didn't let Governor Hair Gel keep me from making money during the pandemic. I'm not interested as long as I'm not, you know, maybe I'm breaking the law, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of you drive around texting in your car while you're driving. That's breaking the law too. Like we kind of select I'm not murdering people. I'm not stealing from people. I'm not out, trying to buy your wildfire house here in California. Like,
That's quite a mess, isn't it?
Absolutely, but it's a self-made mess, just like the water problems. I don't even want to get into the whole political deal out here in California, but it's not pleasant. I'm stuck here because we've got a granddaughter, and my wife's got family. I mean, I've got family, but
Boy,
I would
I tell you, granddaughters are the worst, aren't they? Because
yeah,
I have a grandbaby, and that
mhm,
grandbaby is what's brought me to
right,
Illinois, to Chicago, and she
yeah,
has the most exquisite claws into my heart. And I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh, oh."
yeah,
And I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to kidnap her and where I'm going to go.
and leave, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't know. Do they put grandmas in prison? Because, I can't stand, I haven't been outside in 4 days. It's -3. I'm like, how long do I have food for?
No, no,
Once I've gone through everything in the house, then I'm like, okay, I got to go to the store. I hate it. I hate it. At least
no.
in California, you can walk outside. I
Yeah,
lived
it's
in
sunny.
Northern California for 14 years, up in Davis. I liked it. It
Oh,
was
okay. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the state. It's 56 degrees right now and sunny. I can play golf all year round. I mean, that's one of the things. As long as I can play golf, I hate the cold. I don't ski, I don't snowboard, none of that. It is not for me. I do not like it. It's no. I
yeah.
hate the cold. Give me
My
110
ideal
degrees in
location.
the summer.
Yes, yes. My ideal location to live in is Monterey.
Oh,
The
it's nice.
Monterey, yeah, the Monterey Peninsula. I think we're tenacious. Thank you. I think that Carmel and Big Sur and all that wicked expensive, but
Yeah.
Pacific Grove and that I do love it very much. I think it's very interesting and very nice. Hi, Bob. Good to see you. I have a place in my heart for California because I love the fresh fruit. I love, like it is the breadbasket of not just the US, but of everything. But it is a very terrible place for real estate.
Well, I
I,
mean, it can be, but like I know Pace doesn't invest in California. If you're gonna sit there and think that transactions aren't happening every single day in every single city in this state, you're tripping. The market, like, are there tenant laws and whatnot? Do squatters have rights? Yes, they do, but there's ways around that stuff too. It's like
oh,
whatever the problem is, you can
wait,
complain about it, or you
do
can
tell.
figure out well, okay, for instance, like you turn it into a sober living facility, you're not a tenant. I'm selling you a license. You have a license to a bed. You show up to one of my facilities and you're drunk or using or whatnot, you're endangering the people that are in this house. I can call the popo. The popo will have you out on the street in a matter of minutes. But if I come and I rent Effie's Airbnb for one night and I can figure out how to stay in it for 29 days, then I've established residency and you have to evict me. And the police will show up and they won't be able to do anything. Hey, this is a civil matter. This is this, that, and the other thing. So you got to figure out how to get around whatever it is. And sober living or residential assisted living, that's the way to do it because they're not tenants. They're
Yep.
basically licensing a bed from you.
Right. And at a good profit because they usually get more than one person per room.
Oh,
I
yeah.
get that part, but I just don't get how you can make it into a Section 8 if you buy a single family and the person refuses to move out. Like if you do,
Yeah, the Section 8. Yeah, Section 8 is a difficult thing, right? They're only paying 70% of the money. And they base that. That's why a lot of 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom houses, it doesn't make sense. Like that's what I had before I met the wife and the kids and the dogs and all of that. It was just me and the dogs in a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. It didn't matter. But when I got a couple of kids and a wife in a 1 bathroom house, like not good. Not
No.
good.
No.
But as a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, the rents and whatnot, they're calculated for Section 8 on how many bedrooms. It doesn't matter how many bathrooms. It could be a 3 bedroom room. It's going to rent for the same as a 3 bedroom, 3 bath. So it's just kind of tricky, especially. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, do you do any Section 8?
We are looking into some of that right now as we speak in Alabama. Again, there's a seller. He's got a problem. He's been trying to sell this 6-unit, what the hell's Lynette, Alabama. He's been trying to sell this 6-unit. And Ken He, I'm sure you might know who Ken He is. He does an affordable podcast. He just had a gal on the other day because I guess he's got some Section 8 stuff going on there. And I learned that it takes between 1 and 3 months just to get a tenant in one of those. I was thinking, hey, we can get these folks in and out. Like I can go buy this building, but it could be 90 days or longer before I get everybody. You come out and then you have to have the inspection. So there's not a cookie cutter solution to everything. You've just got to kind of go out there and figure it out. And then that's what I'm doing. I'm the kind of guy that'll jump out of an airplane without a parachute. I'll figure out how to land on the way down. You have to take action. And that's why I'm a lot
of airplanes, but with a parachute.
Yeah, I saw the photo at the beginning, but a lot of people will not take action. They'll sit around and complain, but they won't go out there and take action. So
John, right now, are you doing mainly wholesaling or what? Tell me what your interests are. Where do you want to be in another year, 3 years? Talk to us.
Well, I'm interested in the whole sober living thing. Residential assisted living. I was trying to do something in that space. I was acquiring properties for a gentleman that will remain nameless. And my name and my phone number is on every single Zoom call that I do. Right. So one of the operators in Texas reaches out to me and says to me, hey, do you guys even have any houses that are up and running? I go, well, okay, first off, who are you talking to? Like, that's my buddy who's doing all this stuff, making $70,000 a month. And she's like, well, the 5 of the 7 houses that he allegedly owns out here in Texas, none of them were up and running. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, I even went to one in San Antonio. And I go, well, he told me he had a hospice in that one. He was making $15,000 a month net. She's like, there's not a single person in that thing. So that kind of set off the, that I'm setting up all these deals and whatnot. And I'm getting fed a story every time I'm trying to, be a sponge and take all this information. Like if you're going to tell me that you can go take some house that does so and put people in it that are basically waiting to die and turn a profit at $15,000 a month, Like that may not be what I really want to do, but if I've got to solve some problems, how do I pay this, that, and the other thing? Like that's a solution. And I don't know how to do that. So teach me how to do that. This guy wouldn't teach me anything about it. And the reason that he's not teaching me, yeah.
Oh, that's a red flag right there.
Oh, 100%. So as soon as I learned that, I had to cut off all, uh,
Connections.
connections with this
Because
guy.
he was going to use, he was using your name.
Right. He's using me because here's the deal. I've wholesaled some creative deals and the buyer doesn't make the payments. Well, who do you think the seller reaches out to? You think they reach out to the buyer? No, they reach out to me because I'm the guy that sold them that this was the best solution for what they have. And now I've got them in a situation. And that doesn't ever make me feel good. Like, like I do what I say I'm going to do and do it, then, I'm not going to do it.
Do you see what Equip says?
No.
Should I show him Equip?
Let me see here. Well, let's not do that. Let's not do that. But Circle takes the square. If you're a Hollywood Squares fan, yeah, he is.
Wow, that is a big disappointment. But it does kind of bring me to another topic that we had touched on before, and that is that although the community is now at 15,000 plus, and I think I've met some incredible people in there, we do have people that, in my opinion, don't belong there, or that are what I call snakes. So how you deal with that is tricky. It's very tricky. Thank goodness for Melissa Palmer and the safety course and such. But a lot of people have not found out. Like you were kind of lucky that the person told you that and that they kind of shocked you into finding out what was going on.
Correct.
Because you're going to feel responsible if you get me or anybody else to come in and I put in 50,000, 100,000. Some people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars to people like this person who we call a snake, because then you are as responsible. They're going to come to you and they're going to say, I lost everything. And what are you going to do? You thought you were doing right. You thought you were doing right. And it is difficult if you give your trust to someone and you're not right there. So you can't just go and see it to say, hey, show me the property. I want to see this,
Yep.
And you can do that when you're at a distance and they can show you whatever they want.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to know whether it's real. You're not going to know if it's real or not.
Well, it's just like anything that's on social media, like I hate to use this as a reference, like girls taking headshots, like you show up and it's not what's being portrayed on Facebook. People want you to see, they let you see on social media what they want to let you see. Like it's not the reality all the time. I just kind of stay under the radar. I've learned my lessons. I don't vouch for pretty much anybody anymore. Like it's going to be my name and my reputation. That's worth more than any paycheck anybody's going to give me. So, I had 3 under contract when I learned that gentleman was, doing some shady stuff. And the gal that put me up on game, she was also in Texas.
I'm sorry, you cut out on me. Say again.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. Yeah. So basically the gal that, reached out to me and said that he didn't have any of those houses set up, she was also a realtor. So I had 3 under contract right then and there. And I actually put them under my company's name because it took so long for this guy and his team, to sign anything. So I just put them under contract, and that also protects myself, right? If you don't want to pay me or whatnot, well, hey, this is the price of this. I'm going to wholesale it to you. You do whatever it is that you want with it. That's how I ensured that I was getting paid. Well, I took those last 3 deals. I reached out to her. Hey, I got this deal at this address and this one and this one. And her and we did 3 deals. So while this guy was out scamming everybody, I was trying to clean up the mess. And because she put me up on game and she was boots on the ground, I just sold 3 deals with her like that. And
Nice.
I mean, it's sad that, everybody's out for themselves, but that's the reality of it. Like, you just got to kind of watch out for what's going on out there. And
Mhm.
that's all I
Yeah.
can
I
say.
wouldn't say everybody, because there are some really good people, a lot of good people. They still outnumber the unethical, lazy beep beep beeps. But um, all it takes is a couple of them to get in there and screw people over,
Right.
and then the community gets a bad name. People lose a lot of money.
Yep.
Uh, it is not pretty when you've lent, or given 230 plus $1,000, and then your wife comes down with something and you need that money,
Hmm.
and say, I got to cut out of this deal early because this is totally unexpected. And you go find out that he was such a scammer and there's nothing left. Good luck. Like, how do you deal with that?
It's tough. Like, this guy, I knew karma was going to take care of itself. It kind of has. All the media posts and all the nonsense has kind of ceased. Um, a lot of folks reach out to me because they know that I was affiliated with this gentleman. Hey, have you heard from so and so? Nope, I've got nothing to do with him. And it kind of takes care of itself. But that's why, I just want to stay in my own lane. And because I don't really feel comfortable wholesaling creative financing deals to other folks, I've been taking them down myself. So I'm figuring out how to do the whole sober living space. It's something that's, new to me. But I mean, I don't drink. So, um, again, I play golf, and a lot of my analogies are golf. If you and I were out playing golf and I hit a bad shot, you might, if we were buddies, you might tell me, hey, take a mulligan. And a mulligan basically means, hey, you get a do-over. What had just happened, don't worry about that. You get a second shot at it. So Mulligan's House is what I have come up with, my quote brand name. And that's,
Oh, nice.
I basically want to give folks a second chance, at a fresh start. Like, it's, I mean, there's just, addiction is brutal. There's a lot of relapses in it. I've seen it take, friends of mine's life. Um, yeah, that's kind of my focus. And for California, with the way that squatters' rights, tenants' rights, all that kind of stuff, it makes perfect sense as far as an exit strategy to do that. Don't need a license. Rehab addiction is basically a protected class, so I don't have to get the HOA's permission or anything. Like, it's against the Fair Housing Act to discriminate on these folks because they're recovering in this house. So, I mean, there's one that I've got here in Fresno, California. It keeps falling out of escrow with the agent. It's been on the market 150 days. Interest rate is 6.125%. Needs a little bit of work. And they started at, I think, 390,000. They're down to 350. I was pulling notice of defaults the other day, and I have to check them against the MLS database because I'm a licensed agent, broker, whatever. I can't call people that are under contract. That's an ethics violation, so I could lose my license for that. So I noticed that this house was notice of default. It was on the market. I reach out. She doesn't even know that the notice of default has been filed, and she thinks maybe they're $10,000 behind. Well, they're 25 grand behind. So you got to have a creative way to get out of this situation. Like, I got to be able to put money in these folks' pocket. The agents are kind of greedy on this deal. I said, hey, we're going to pay the listing side. I'll represent myself. What's your listing side fee? 3.5%. I was like, wow, are you looking out for the seller? Or are you looking out for you? Now, I'm
I
not
think that's an
opposed.
obvious answer.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to you making money and whatnot, but now these folks have a situation, and you have put up another hurdle that somebody has to get over in order to take this house down. The last 2 times this thing has fallen out of escrow, the buyers got the loan docs and saw how, 7.2, 7.3% interest rate. It doesn't make it affordable. So right now, this thing's at $2,900 a month. Okay. The rents in the area are $2,300. I drove another sub 2 student over there to check the house out and whatnot. And as I made the corner, I saw the AA banner in the window. So there's literally an AA meeting spot on the corner of this house. And I thought, well, I might as well try to do this right here in my own neck of the woods. And I'm meeting, this is a funny thing too. About 2 years ago, Effie, there was a pre-foreclosure that I was, okay.
You were what?
A pre-foreclosure. And I reached out to what I thought was the homeowner. Both homeowners passed away during COVID. The house was behind on payments. I got a hold of the son. The son's like, hey, I'm the executor. We just went through probate. My sister is using drugs and she lives in the house. Like, it was an all bad thing. So I kept telling this guy, hey, I want to buy this house. You want to buy this house? I was just going to wholesale it, right? So somebody else puts it under contract. And I'm like, oh, man, I totally blew that. So I keep following up every couple of months to see if it's sold, see if it's sold. Reach back out to the guy. No, it just fell out of contract. I'm like, I'll call you on Monday. I want to come see this house. I call him on Monday. I call him on Wednesday. Another wholesaler locks this thing up. Oh my God, I can't believe that I just missed the deal. I see that the house is for sale in one of the local real estate groups. It's a wholesaler throwing it up on the market. I'm like, oh, I told you what was going to happen. And he didn't believe me. I said, hey, when that contract cancels, I'm not going to tell you how I know why, but when that contract cancels, you call me. I want to come see this thing. And that's, I just kept following up. Sure enough, fell out of contract. I put it under contract. I'm like, nobody wants to buy this thing. I'm going to try to do my first fix and flip here in Clovis, California. And then I take my general contractor out there. He goes, hey, my wife and I are looking for a house. We want to buy this thing. I'm like, oh, man, like, come on. I go, okay, look, if I make $15,000, that's what I was going to wholesale this for. If I make $15,000 off of selling this house to you, are you going to be mad? No. Boom, boom, boom. I put the house, I sell it to my guy. Month ago, I'm in sub 2. I'm on one of the Zooms. I see this guy post, and his name's Greg Turner. That was the son. I was like, hey, Greg, it's John, da 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 da. And he goes, yeah, I'm in sub 2 now, blah, 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 blah. I want to do a deal with you. I go, okay, like, blah, blah, blah. So meet tomorrow. I think he and I are going to do the sober living facility on that property.
Oh,
We're going to save the seller.
Nice.
We're going to put some money in there. And then a guy who I told him, hey, this is what's happening to you. We finally did a deal. And then, tomorrow I'm going to meet with him. So you got to be nice to everybody. You never know when it's all going to come back around.
Yeah. I've heard you say that before. To not burn bridges, don't close doors. I think that makes good sense. You don't know what's going to happen. It's funny that Greg and you are both in sub 2.
Yeah, he joined. So basically that dude's day job is he is some sort of a medical practitioner, and he travels around to prisons throughout California, providing medical attention to inmates and whatnot. So he's never in the same place every single week. So, I'm glad that I took that down. And my contractor, like, he made it a pretty sick house. I like it. I got to go visit it and whatnot.
Oh, that's good. And is he living in it?
Yeah, he's living in it. He and his wife.
As a contractor, I don't see how he could begrudge you making a wholesale fee, because he's in that business. He's fix and
but
flips.
the the deal is I always tell people straight to their face, like, this is what I'm going to do. If you've got a problem with it, well, guess what? You've got a problem with it. Like, I got to feed my family and whatnot. So there are guys that try to grind me on price and whatnot. I take that personal. You're stealing from my kids. You're stealing from my wife. Okay. That's my opinion. It's if you could get this deal for what you wanted to get it for, you should have called the seller before I put it under contract. And I've sold countless deals to other people. And the first guy's mad because he beat me up on price and I sold it for what I told you I'm going to sell it for to somebody else. And they're mad at me. That's adorable. That is absolutely adorable.
Well, I love the fact that you are unapologetic and that you are frank and that you just, tell it as it is, because that's the way I am to a great degree.
Yeah.
I don't quite have the, whatever you want to call it, that you have. I am just a little old bitty, but I do call people on their shit. I call myself on my shit. If I do something, I'm the first one to say, "Oh my God, how did this happen?" And you try to make it right, because we're all humans. But the problem is that when you have someone like the person you had talked about earlier, they're doing it again and again and again. That's a different thing. Correct. And they're well aware. I mean, usually if I've done something stupid, I haven't been aware of it. So I appreciate it being brought to my attention and I straighten it out. And I would never put it on someone else. So that I think is fine. But because I can't be perfect. But I can't stand people that will purposely take advantage time and time and time again and come out, trying to look like an angel. No. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what was
they make you the victim.
One of the masterminds I was at, another person spoke up on my behalf, and they really shouldn't have. They didn't have permission. But they talked to Pace in front of other people, which I wouldn't have done that. I would have done it privately, about snakes, And so Pace mentioned, said, well, even the Garden of Eden had snakes. And I get that, but I honestly believe that doesn't mean that they should be left there. I think they should be picked up and burned or tossed right out, just because they're there doesn't mean that we should accept them. But I, of course, never said anything because I didn't want to do that, in a public way. Mind you, this isn't a fucking public way, isn't it? But hopefully Pace won't see this. And this was years ago, and I still hold that same outlook, that if you do something wrong, okay, I can forgive you the one time, but don't do it again and fix it. But otherwise, I'm as big a snake hunter as anyone else. And I'm trying to change it. As I said to you, I'm trying to let other people's worries and wrongs be owned by the people who they affected. It's just, it's hard to do. It's very hard to do because I feel like screaming from the top of the mountain. And I was thinking about, where did this start? And it really did start young. You were an only child. And in many ways that set you up for certain things that lead to your character. I was the firstborn daughter in a Greek family. And my brother was the firstborn. So that made him prince. And it made me the slave. And I ended up being the protector of the second-born child because she was my mom used to call her Bones because she was skinny and rickety and weak. And I think that's where it started, where I used to jump in against my brother because I could take him down. And I did take him down. And even my father, but I didn't take him down. He took me down, to spare my sister because she couldn't take the same sort of stuff I could. So I think these things get ingrained a little bit early, and then they're hard to take the attitude of, so be it. I have to let other people, let them take care of their own stuff. Yeah, I would have I hope that anybody who's listening here, the chat will be put up at some point. I hope you figure out who it was that was doing this to John and taking advantage of him and other people, because that person doesn't deserve to be held under. I know why we're not doing it. I get it. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. But why should he have the opportunity to possibly fool another person?
Yeah,
It's
you know
not
what they say, what happens in the dark will come to light, right? So,
yeah. And I do believe in karma
oh yeah. Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
this person will get taken care of. They're already kind of paying the price for their transgressions.
I hope so. I hope so. But I do have one last question I'd like to ask. I know we're getting a little bit over, but I'd like for you to give me what would you say to somebody who's just starting out in real estate in this market now? They want to amass independence by having, assets to be able to free themselves from a W-2 and to provide for their family. Um, and they're like, hey, John, what do you recommend I do?
Well, the first thing I would do is pick any 17 hours out of the day, because that's when you're going to be working. It takes a lot to do this. It's not all glamorous like you see on all these shows, the fix and flip. There's a lot of stuff. And no matter how many deals, like every deal is like a snowflake or a fingerprint. Like there's little hiccups, there's different stuff. If it's going smooth, just wait a few hours. Something will go wrong. Like it's just absolutely crazy. But the number one thing, like take action. You got to get out there and get after it. Okay. Your biggest problem is nobody needs or nobody knows you. They don't know what you can do. You have to go tell them. So you don't have to start with your friends and family or any of that stuff, but you do have to pick up a phone and take action. Um, this is not legal advice. Don't take my deal. But
Just
like
your
people,
advice that you would give
yeah,
from one
like
friend
you
to
know,
another.
there are do not call lists or whatnot. A lot of people frown on calling the do not call list. Then don't call them. But I call them. Okay. I'm trying to provide a solution to folks. I'm trying to help you with a solution. I don't do businesses with houses. I do businesses with people. So that's my super long answer. Just take action, get after it. Things don't happen because of you, period.
Would you point them towards wholesaling?
Well, the number one thing that I see the problem is a lot of run comparables. Okay. Zillow, the A in Zillow stands for accuracy. Zillow is not the Kelly Blue Book of home values, folks. Okay. Is not.
The
All
A in
right.
Zillow. I
Yeah.
like
The
it.
A in Zillow stands for accuracy. It's like I see deals come across my desk. I got one text today. Another sub two student sent me one. The ARV on this house is $290,000. It's on the market 163 days, complete gut job, just beat down. And they want full retail for it. And then another guy was in sub two
Well, that's
today. I
because
don't
they
know
got
this.
the A in Zillow.
Yeah, and that's it, and then, you get new realtors that promise people they can get them more money than anything else. Those folks bought that house for $255,000 in 22. 22, that's the height of the market. That's when people were bidding $1 million over the asking price, and my clients were losing out by, $800,000, $600,000 on some of these houses. I was thinking, man, I hope you folks that won this house in that bidding war, I hope you love that house because perpetuity, period. And some of these guys, like they have to pay the piper now. They just paid too much. You got
Yep.
caught.
Yep. 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 For sure. It isn't. It is. It can be very complex. You have to make it so that you can. So there's enough margin in there for safety and to make money to feed the family, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I also see the thing that also upsets me too is you're quote a wholesaler. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a wholesaler. Like that's not an occupation. That is an exit strategy. But when there's a house that's on the market and then you go and purport that you're the buyer and this house was on the market for 300,000 and you've got it under contract now for 2,000 and you're going to sell it to me for 280,000, and then you send me the address and then I see, hey, it's on the market, it's pending, I could make the same deal. Like, what value are you providing? Like, what are you doing? And that sets us all back as well too.
Yeah.
I'll tell a seller, hey, look, I might not be your buyer, but I'll tell you what, I've got quite a few connections. I could probably sell this thing. You want me to go try to find you a buyer and then they'll pay me a fee? Would that be okay with you? They never get mad at me. If they wanted 280,000 and I sold it for 340, well, what's the problem? I told you I was going to give you 280, right?
Yeah.
What are you mad about?
Yeah, I think being above board is very important. I think that when people hide it, it's usually because it's silliness. It's silliness. I think that they should just be frank with the owners and let them know that this is the part you play, and that you will find them a buyer. That buyer may be only paying $5,000 more, and that's all you're going to get for all your time.
Right.
Or
that's my problem.
$100,000 more. That's between you and them. And that as long as they get the price that you have told them they're going to get,
end of story.
Then there's nothing to hide.
Right.
There's no. Why would you begrudge?
Right.
So I think that's what I would do if I was a wholesaler for sure. I don't wholesale, but I do think it's because I haven't found the A in Zillow.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyhow, I would like to say thank you very, very much. Guys, you see all the information up there. He's got his phone number, 559-708-6460. Instagram is Sniper for Hire, as well as in YouTube and Facebook and his website. So go get connected. This is someone I know that can do a lot of things. He is a big doer, and he'll just tell you how it is. And I love that about him.
Right on. I appreciate you having me on today.
Are you kidding? Thank you. All right. Sit tight. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week.